He bought a rusted cargo pod for cheap. Inside were dozens of alien princesses in stasis. The auction find, the forgotten container. Marcus Chen wiped grease from his hands as he walked through the crowded auction halls of Kepler Station. The massive space station orbited a dead star, serving as a dumping ground for salvage from across 3 sectors. Pirates, corporate raiders, and government surplus all ended up here, sold to whoever had credits and fewer questions. At 42, Marcus had seen enough of the galaxy's darker corners to know opportunity when it presented itself. His weathered face bore scars from his days as an Earth Defense Force engineer, and his gray eyes held the calculating look of someone who could spot value where others saw junk. The military pension barely covered his expenses, but his small, salvage operation kept him fed and gave him purpose. The auction floor buzzed with activity. Dealers and collectors crowded around displays of starship components, rare minerals, and confiscated cargo. Marcus moved methodically through the lots, his practiced eye dismissing most items as overpriced or worthless. He had learned long ago that the real treasures were often overlooked by flashier bidders. The mysterious lot, near the back of the auction hall, almost hidden behind a stack of damaged sensor arrays, sat container lot 847. The description was basic. Sealed transport container, origin unknown, contents undisclosed. The starting bid was set at 1 credit, which immediately caught Marcus's attention. In his experience, anything priced that low was either completely worthless or incredibly dangerous. The container itself was unremarkable, a standard deep space cargo unit about 12 meters long and 4 meters wide. Its hull showed signs of hasty welding repairs and blast scoring from what looked like weapon impacts. Corporate markings had been deliberately scraped away, leaving only faded serial numbers that meant nothing to most bidders. Marcus studied the container more carefully. The welding work was professional but rushed, suggesting someone had modified it quickly under pressure. The blast patterns indicated the container had been through combat, but the damage was limited to the exterior. Whatever was inside had been protected. Lot 847, announced the auctioneer, a bored-looking Centaurian whose forearms gestured dismissively at the container. Sealed cargo unit, sold as is, no warranties. Opening bid, 1 credit. The auction hall continued its background chatter. No one else seemed interested in the mysterious container. Marcus raised his hand. The winning bid. 1 credit to the human gentleman, the auctioneer called out, scanning the crowd for other bidders. Anyone else? No? Going once, going twice. The gavel fell with a sharp crack. Sold to bidder 1847 for 1 credit. Marcus approached the payment terminal, transferring the credit with a shake of his head. Either he had just made the best deal of his career or purchased the galaxy's most expensive paperweight. The auction clerk handed him the access codes and ownership transfer documents. Container will be delivered to your ship in 2 hours, the clerk informed him. Docking Bay 23C, sign here for liability release. Marcus signed the documents and headed back to his ship, the Steadfast, a converted mining vessel he had purchased with his military severance pay. The ship was ugly but reliable, with enough cargo space for his salvage operations and sufficient defensive systems to discourage pirates. Opening Pandora's box 2 hours later, station workers delivered the container to his cargo bay. Marcus tipped the crew and watched them leave before sealing the bay doors. Whatever was inside, he wanted privacy for the reveal. The container's access panel required both a physical key and an electronic code. Marcus had acquired both in the purchase, though the seller had warned that the container hadn't been opened in over 3 years. Whatever was inside had been locked away for a long time. He inserted the physical key and entered the electronic sequence. The panel flashed green, and hydraulic systems hummed to life. With a sharp hiss, the container doors began to slide apart. Cold vapor poured out, obscuring Marcus's vision for several moments. As it cleared, he stepped forward and froze, in absolute shock. The container's interior had been converted into a makeshift cryosleep facility. 15 transparent pods lined the walls, each containing a humanoid figure in suspended animation. The occupants were clearly alien, but their beauty was breathtaking. Their skin possessed an ethereal luminescence, shifting between soft blues, purples, and silvers. Even in sleep, their faces held an otherworldly elegance that made Marcus catch his breath. The women wore simple white garments that covered them modestly, but revealed their slender, graceful forms. Their hair moved gently in the preservation fluid, creating an almost hypnotic effect. Monitoring equipment showed steady life signs for all 15 occupants. Marcus approached the nearest pod cautiously. The occupant appeared young, though alien. Physiology made age difficult to determine. Her skin held a soft blue radiance, and elaborate markings covered her arms and face in patterns that seemed to shift in the dim light. A control panel near the pod displayed text in multiple languages, including Standard Galactic. Emergency cryosleep protocol active. Occupant stable. Warning: premature revival may cause disorientation and memory issues. The awakening Marcus hesitated at the controls. Opening the pods might harm the occupants, but leaving them in indefinite sleep seemed equally wrong. The life support systems showed signs of aging and power levels were dropping. Without intervention, the sleepers might not survive much longer. He made his decision and initiated the revival sequence for the nearest pod. The process took several minutes as the cryosleep chamber slowly warmed and the preservation fluid drained away. Finally, the pod opened with a soft hiss. The occupant stirred, her eyelids fluttering as consciousness returned. Her eyes opened, revealing irises of startling violet that seemed to hold depths of starlight. She sat up slowly, her movements graceful despite obvious disorientation. Her gaze found Marcus and held it with surprising intensity. "Where are we?" she asked in perfect Standard Galactic, her voice melodic despite her confusion. "Who are you?" Marcus raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. "I'm Marcus Chen. You're safe. You're on my ship at Kepler Station." She studied him carefully, her luminescent skin pulsing gently with what appeared to be emotional responses. "Human," she said, not with fear but with curiosity. "How did we come to be here?" "I bought your container at auction," Marcus explained. "I didn't know you were inside. The seller didn't mention occupants." The princess reveals her identity. The alien woman's expression shifted to one of understanding mixed with sadness. "Sold like cargo," she murmured. "How far we have fallen." She attempted to stand but swayed from the effects of long cryosleep. Marcus moved to steady her, his hands supporting her arms. Her skin was warm and had an unusual texture, almost like silk with a faint electrical charge. "Thank you," she said, her violet eyes meeting his. "I am Zara Veltar, first daughter of the Luminary Royal House." She gestured to the other pods. "These are my sisters, cousins, and companions. We are the last of our people." Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cryosleep systems. "Last of your people? What happened?" Zara's luminescence dimmed with grief. "Our star was dying, consuming itself faster than our scientists predicted. The evacuation ships could only carry a fraction of our population. As members of the royal family, we were supposed to board the first vessels to safety." She paused, her gaze distant with painful memories. "But we chose to stay until the end, helping others escape. By the time we tried to leave, only emergency pods remained. We put ourselves into cryosleep, hoping someone would find us and give us sanctuary." The weight of responsibility Marcus processed this information while studying the other pods. Royal, family members of an extinct civilization were now his responsibility through a one-credit purchase. The irony wasn't lost on him. "How long have you been asleep?" he asked. "According to our pods, 3 years, 4 months, and 16 days, Zara replied with precision that spoke to advanced technology. "Though it feels like moments to us." Marcus nodded toward the other pods. "Should we wake the others?" "Yes, but carefully. Extended cryosleep can cause disorientation. Some may not remember recent events clearly at first." Together, they began the revival process for the remaining 14 Luminari. As each pod opened, Marcus was struck by the diversity within their species. While all possessed the characteristic luminescent skin, their colorations varied from deep blue to pale silver, with some showing purple or green undertones. Their markings were unique to each individual, creating patterns that seemed both decorative and functional. Meeting the survivors as the last luminary awakened, Marcus found himself surrounded by 15 confused but grateful alien women. They spoke in rapid musical tones to each other before Zara addressed him again. "My companions wish to know if you intend to sell us," she said directly. "We understand that humans often engage in commerce involving sentient beings." Marcus felt a surge of anger at the implication. "I'm not a slaver. You're free individuals, not property. I'll help you contact your people or find safe passage wherever you want to go." The relief that washed over the group was visible in the brightening of their collective luminescence. Several of the luminari spoke to Zara in their native language, their tones excited. "They say you speak like the heroes from the old stories," Zara translated with a smile. "Protectors who help without expecting reward." "I just believe in doing what's right," Marcus replied, though he felt heat rise in his cheeks at their praise. The complications begin. One of the younger luminari, her skin a soft silver with intricate green markings, approached Marcus with obvious nervousness. She spoke rapidly to Zara in their language. "Lyra says there's something else you should know," Zara said, her expression growing serious. "We weren't the only survivors who escaped our world. There were other containers, other groups in cryosleep." Marcus felt a sinking sensation. How many others? "Dozens of containers were launched," Zara explained. "But ours was the only one programmed to seek sanctuary. The others contained different cargo. Our planet's genetic archives, cultural artifacts, technology blueprints, everything needed to rebuild our civilization." "And where are these other containers now?" Zara's luminescence flickered with distress. "Unknown. Scattered across the galaxy when our emergency beacon network failed. Some may have been found by slavers, others by pirates. Many could still be drifting in deep space." Marcus ran a hand through his graying hair, realizing the true scope of what he had stumbled into. These weren't just refugees. They were the key to preserving an entire civilization. The hunter's interest. The ship's proximity alarm suddenly activated, jolting everyone from the emotional moment. Marcus rushed to the bridge with Zara close behind. The scanner showed a sleek Predator-class vessel approaching at high speed. "Incoming transmission," his ship's computer announced. The holographic display activated, revealing a tall, angular alien with metallic gray skin and cold yellow eyes. Cybernetic implants covered half his face, and his expression held the controlled menace of a professional killer. "Human vessel, this is Vex Cordain. You have cargo that belongs to my employer. Surrender the luminari, and you will be compensated for your trouble." Marcus stepped into view of the transmission pickup. "They're not cargo. They're free individuals under my protection." Cordain's yellow eyes narrowed. "Protection? From one human in a salvage ship? My employer offers substantial payment for their return." "Return to what?" Marcus challenged. "Their world is gone. To their rightful place in my employer's collection," Cordain replied coldly. "The luminari are among the galaxy's most beautiful and adaptable species. They will be well cared for." "As pets," Zara said quietly, her luminescence flaring with anger. Cordain heard her comment. "As treasured companions to those who can appreciate their unique qualities. Much preferable to the harsh realities of refugee life." Marcus felt his military training assert itself. "Listen carefully, Cordain. These people are under my protection. If you want them, you'll have to go through me." The bounty hunter's laugh was like grinding metal. A former engineer against a professional hunter? This will be amusing. You have 1 hour to reconsider, human. After that, I take them by force. The transmission ended. Preparing for war. Marcus turned to find all 15 luminari watching him, with expressions of amazement and gratitude. Zara stepped forward, placing her hand on his arm. Her touch was warm and somehow comforting despite their desperate situation. "You would fight for us?" she asked. "Risk your life for strangers?" "You're not strangers anymore," Marcus replied, surprised by the conviction in his own voice. and I didn't serve 20 years in the defense force to let bullies prey on the innocent. One of the other luminari, distinguished by royal blue skin and silver markings, spoke to Zara in their musical language. Zara nodded and turned back to Marcus. This is my sister Vera. She asks if you understand what you're facing. Cordain is legendary among bounty hunters. His ship carries weapons that could destroy yours in moments. Marcus smiled grimly. Then, we'll have to make sure he doesn't get the chance to use them. He moved to his weapons locker, beginning to pull out defensive equipment. How much do you know about human military doctrine? Very little, Zara admitted. Then you're about to get an education in human stubbornness. Hunters in the void. The hunter's reputation. Vex Cordain was known throughout the Outer Rim as the most effective bounty hunter in 3 sectors. His reputation was built on ruthless efficiency and an unwavering commitment to completing contracts, regardless of moral complications. The Luminari represented more than just another job. They were a prize that would cement his legacy and provide enough credits to retire in luxury. Standing on the bridge of his ship, the Ravager, Cordain, studied the tactical display showing Marcus's modest salvage vessel. The human's defiance amused him. Most species understood the futility of resisting superior firepower. Humans, however, possessed an irritating tendency to fight hopeless battles simply because they believed their cause was just. Commander, his lieutenant reported, the human vessel is attempting to leave the station. Let them run, Cordain replied with cold satisfaction. The hunt is more entertaining when prey thinks it can escape. Escape attempt. Marcus pushed the Steadfast to maximum acceleration as soon as they cleared Kepler Station's docking bays. The ship groaned under the stress, but her fusion engines responded faithfully. In the passenger compartment he had hastily converted from cargo space, the 15 luminary held on as the ship shuddered through the acceleration. How fast can this vessel travel? Zara asked, joining him on the bridge. Her luminescent skin had shifted to deeper blue tones, which Marcus was beginning to recognize as a sign of stress or concentration. Fast enough to outrun most pirates, Marcus replied, monitoring their pursuer's approach. But Cordain's ship is military grade. In a straight race, he'll catch us. Through the view screen, they could see the sleek Predator vessel gaining ground steadily. Its dark hull bristled with weapon emplacements, and scanner readings confirmed what Marcus already knew. They were heavily outgunned. Then we don't run straight, Zara said with determination. Among my people, I was known for strategic thinking. Perhaps human ingenuity combined with luminary insight can find a solution. The asteroid gambit. Marcus studied the navigation charts, searching for options. The Kepler system contained an extensive asteroid belt, remnants of a shattered planet that created a dangerous maze of spinning rocks and debris fields. Most ships avoided the area due to unpredictable gravitational effects and the constant risk of collision. There, Marcus pointed to the asteroid field on the display. If we can reach the belt before Cordain closes the gap, we might lose him in the chaos. You're planning to navigate through that? Vera, Zara's sister, had joined them on the bridge. Her royal blue skin showed concern, but her expression held trust in Marcus's abilities. I've done it before, Marcus assured her. During the war with the hegemony, we used asteroid fields for guerrilla tactics. The trick is reading the gravitational patterns and using them to your advantage. Zara watched him work with growing admiration. You're not just a salvage operator, are you? Marcus allowed himself a slight smile. Former Earth Defense Force combat engineer. I designed defensive systems for frontier outposts during the hegemony war. Into the asteroid maze. The Steadfast entered the asteroid field just as Cordain's ship moved into weapons range. Marcus immediately cut main engines and activated maneuvering thrusters, using minimal power to drift between the massive spinning rocks. He's launching pursuit drones, Marcus announced, watching the tactical display. Automated hunters that can follow us into tight spaces. How many? Zara asked. 8. Each one armed with plasma cannons and equipped with AI targeting systems. The first drones entered the asteroid field, their smaller size allowing them to navigate more easily than the larger ships. Marcus watched their approach pattern, and formulated a plan that would have been considered insane by military standards. "Hold on," he warned, then fired the maneuvering thrusters in a complex sequence that sent the Steadfast spinning toward a cluster of asteroids. To the Luminari, it appeared Marcus was flying directly into certain destruction. The ship dove between asteroids with mere meters of clearance, using gravitational slingshots to build momentum while avoiding detection. Marcus's hands moved across the controls with practiced precision, his military training evident in every maneuver, the Luminari's gift. "How are you doing this?" Vera asked in amazement, watching Marcus thread the ship through impossible gaps. "Pattern recognition and spatial reasoning," Marcus replied, sweat beading on his forehead as he maintained their breakneck pace. "Plus a lot of experience flying in bad situations." Zara studied the tactical display showing the pursuing drones. "They're adapting to your pattern. Their AI is learning." "Then we need to be unpredictable," Marcus said grimly. "Perhaps we can help," Zara offered. "Luminari possess enhanced perception. We see energy patterns that other species cannot detect." "What kind of patterns?" Zara placed her hand on the ship's sensor console. Her luminescence intensified, and the display suddenly showed additional information: energy currents flowing between asteroids, gravitational eddies, and magnetic field, variations that hadn't been visible before. "Your ship's sensors are limited," she explained, "but our biology allows us to perceive quantum fluctuations directly. Through contact with your systems, I can share that perception." Enhanced navigation. With Zara's enhanced perception feeding additional data to the navigation system, Marcus found new possibilities opening up. He could see safe passages where sensors had shown only solid rock and detect gravitational currents that could boost their speed without using engines. "This is incredible," Marcus said, piloting the ship through a series of maneuvers that would have been impossible minutes before. "It's like having quantum radar." "Our people developed these abilities over millennia of living among cosmic phenomena," Zara explained, her hand still connected to the console. "Our star system was filled with quantum storms and energy cascades. Adaptation was necessary for survival." Behind them, the pursuit drones struggled to match their new flight pattern. Two collided with asteroids they hadn't detected, while others fell behind as Marcus used gravitational slingshots to build impossible velocity. The escape. After an hour of high-speed maneuvering through the asteroid field, Marcus brought the Steadfast out the far side with all pursuit drones destroyed or disabled. Cordain's main ship hadn't even attempted to follow them into the maze. "We lost them," Marcus announced, allowing himself to relax for the first time since the chase began. The Luminari erupted in celebration, their combined luminescence filling the bridge with soft, colorful light. Several of them thanked Marcus in their musical language, while others examined the ship's systems with newfound curiosity. "Where do we go now?" Zara asked. "Cordain will track us eventually. His employer has resources across multiple sectors." Marcus considered their options. "There's a human colony called Haven in the frontier zone. It's beyond coalition authority, but that also means it's beyond Cordain's legal reach. The colonists there value independence and aren't likely to hand you over to bounty hunters." "A human colony," Vera mused. "Will they accept us?" "They'll accept anyone willing to work hard and contribute to the community," Marcus assured her. "And from what I've seen, Luminari abilities could be incredibly valuable for frontier life." Growing bonds, as they traveled toward Haven Colony, Marcus found himself spending more time with the Luminari, learning about their culture and sharing stories of human achievements. The aliens were fascinated by human determination and ingenuity, while Marcus was amazed by their collective intelligence and adaptive abilities. Zara proved to be his most frequent companion, often joining him on the bridge during long shifts. Her insights into energy patterns had improved the ship's efficiency by 30%, and her strategic mind helped him plan their approach to Haven Colony. "Your species intrigues us," she said during one quiet moment as they watched stars pass through the viewscreen. "Most advanced civilizations develop technology to replace physical effort and risk. Humans seem to embrace both challenge and innovation, simultaneously. We're stubborn that way, Marcus replied with a chuckle. Earth wasn't an easy world. We learned early that survival required both brains and courage. Is that why you chose to help us? Stubbornness? Marcus considered the question seriously, partly, but mostly because leaving you to slavers would have been wrong. Some things are worth fighting for regardless of the odds. Zara's hand found his, her warm touch sending familiar electric sensations through his skin. Among the Luminari, such actions create bonds of honor. You saved not just our lives, but our dignity and freedom. That's what any decent person would do, Marcus protested. No, Zara said firmly. Most beings in the galaxy would have sold us for profit or abandoned us to avoid trouble. You chose differently. That makes you exceptional. New developments. Their conversation was interrupted by urgent signals from the ship's long-range sensors. 3 vessels had appeared at the edge of scanner range, approaching at high speed. Cordain? Marcus asked, moving to the controls. Zara studied the energy signatures. No, these are different ships, older designs but heavily armed. The lead vessel hailed them. On the display appeared a grizzled human captain with cybernetic implants replacing his left eye. Salvage vessel Steadfast. This is Captain Morrison of the Free Traders. We've been tracking your energy signature. That's some impressive sensor enhancement you've developed. Marcus remained cautious. What can I do for you, Captain? Words spreading about your passengers. Lot of interest in alien refugees these days, especially ones with useful abilities. Morrison's visible eye gleamed with avarice. We're prepared to make a generous offer. They're not for sale, Marcus stated flatly. Morrison's expression hardened. Everything's for sale at the right price, friend. The question is whether you deal with us voluntarily or we take them by force. More complications. Just when Marcus thought they might reach safety. The Luminari gathered around the bridge, their collective luminescence dimming with fear and anger. So many who would cage us, Vera whispered. Marcus felt a surge of protective fury that surprised him with its intensity. These beautiful, intelligent beings deserved freedom and safety, not a life as collectibles for wealthy predators. Not while I'm breathing, he declared, activating the ship's defensive systems. All hands prepare for combat. We're going to show these pirates what happens when they threaten the innocent. The Luminari looked at him with expressions of awe and growing affection. Through their enhanced perception abilities, they could sense the determination radiating from Marcus like a beacon of hope in the darkness of space. The battle for their freedom was about to begin. Last light of the Luminari. The final gambit. Marcus knew the 3 pirate ships would overwhelm his defenses within minutes. The Steadfast wasn't built for combat, and his improvisations could only do so much against dedicated warships. But surrender wasn't in his vocabulary, especially with 15 innocent lives depending on him. Zara, he called over his shoulder while activating every defensive system his ship possessed. How quickly can your people adapt to new technology? Very quickly, she replied, her violet eyes bright with understanding. What do you need? I'm going to reroute ship functions to manual control. If your enhanced perception can help us coordinate defensive maneuvers, we might survive long enough to reach Haven Colony. The lead pirate ship opened fire, plasma bolts, streaking past the Steadfast hull. Marcus threw the ship into evasive maneuvers while Zara and her sisters spread throughout the bridge, their hands touching various control surfaces. Synchronized defense. What happened next defied conventional space combat doctrine. As the Luminari connected with the ship's systems, their enhanced perception began feeding Marcus tactical information he couldn't have obtained through sensors alone. They detected minute changes in the attacker's power distribution, predicted weapon firing patterns, and sensed gravitational anomalies that could be used for evasive maneuvers. Port weapons charging, Lyra announced, her silver skin pulsing with data flow. Firing in 3 seconds. Marcus rolled the ship just as plasma beams scorched through space where they had been moments before. The coordination was perfect, achieved, through the Luminaries' collective consciousness and their growing bond with Marcus. How are they doing that? Captain Morrison's voice crackled over the comm. frustration evident as his shots continued to miss their target. The quantum bridge Vera had connected herself to the ship's communication array, her royal blue skin flickering with patterns of light. "Marcus," she said urgently, "I'm detecting something unusual. The quantum disturbances in this region, they're not natural." "What do you mean?" Marcus asked, while dodging another volley of plasma fire. "There's an artificial quantum bridge nearby, probably built by an extinct civilization. If we can reach it, the dimensional instabilities will make it impossible for larger ships to follow." Marcus checked the navigation display. The bridge was located deep in a debris field filled with the remnants of ancient technology. "It's a death trap. One wrong move and we'll be scattered across several dimensions." "But you can navigate it," Zara said with absolute confidence. "Your pattern recognition abilities, enhanced by our perception, we can see the safe paths through quantum space." The pirate ships were closing fast, their combined firepower beginning to overwhelm the Steadfast's shields. Marcus made the decision that would either save them all or destroy them. "All hands brace for quantum transition," he announced, turning toward the shimmering distortions of the quantum bridge. Into the unknown. The moment they entered the quantum field, reality became fluid. Space twisted around them in impossible geometries, and time seemed to flow in multiple directions simultaneously. Without the luminary's enhanced perception, Marcus would have been instantly lost in the dimensional maze. "Left 7 degrees, Zara called out, her consciousness merged with the ship's navigation system. "There's a stable corridor." "I see it," Marcus replied, though what he was actually seeing defied description. The safe path appeared as a tunnel of coherent space-time surrounded by chaotic energy storms. Behind them, one of the pirate ships attempted to follow. Its hull immediately began fluctuating between dimensions, and the crew's screams cut across communication channels before the ship vanished entirely into quantum foam. "They're not following," Vera reported with grim satisfaction. Arrival at Haven. 20 minutes later, the Steadfast emerged from the quantum bridge into normal space near Haven Colony. The frontier settlement consisted of interconnected habitat modules orbiting a small moon rich in rare minerals. Mining platforms and defensive satellites surrounded the colony, evidence of the inhabitants' determination to protect their independence. "Haven control to incoming vessel," came a measured voice over communications. "State your business and cargo manifest." Marcus activated the transmission system. "This is Marcus Chen requesting emergency sanctuary for refugee passengers. I have medical and diplomatic documentation." "Marcus Chen?" The voice suddenly became more personal. "This is Control Chief Sarah Martinez. I served with your unit during the Hegemony campaign. You can dock at Bay 7. Relief flooded through Marcus. Sarah Martinez had been a brilliant tactical officer during the war, and her presence at Haven meant they would have at least one ally in the colony. "Welcome to Haven." Sarah met them at the docking bay, her military bearing unmistakable despite civilian clothes. She had aged well, her dark hair showing streaks of gray and her brown eyes still sharp with intelligence. "Marcus, you old devil," she greeted with a genuine smile. "When I heard you were running salvage operations, I figured you'd eventually show up here with something interesting." Her gaze moved to the luminary emerging from the ship. "Though this exceeds even my expectations." "Sarah, meet Princess Zara," and her companions. "They're the last survivors of the luminary civilization." Sarah's expression shifted to professional concern. "Refugees from a dead world, and someone's hunting them, judging by the emergency request." "Bounty hunters working for a collector named Dravek Moore," Marcus confirmed. "They've been chasing us across 2 sectors. Then we'd better get them settled quickly. Haven has strict policies about protecting refugees, but we'll need Colony Council approval for permanent sanctuary." The Colony Council. Haven Colony operated under democratic principles, with major decisions made by an elected council of representatives from various professions and communities. The council chambers were located in the colony's central hub, a large cylindrical structure that rotated to provide artificial gravity. Marcus and the Luminari were ushered into the chambers where 12 colonists sat in a semicircle arrangement. The council members represented the colony's diversity: miners, engineers, traders, farmers, and former military personnel who had chosen frontier life over urban comfort. Council Chairman Robert Clark, a former Earth diplomat, called the session to order. We've convened this emergency session to consider the asylum request submitted by Marcus Chen on behalf of the Luminari refugees. Zara stepped forward, her luminescence shifting to formal patterns that Marcus was beginning to recognize as ceremonial displays. Honored council members, I am Zara Veltar, representing the last daughters of the Luminari people. We seek not charity, but the opportunity to contribute to your community while preserving what remains of our civilization. Her words carried the weight of millennia of diplomatic tradition. Even translated through universal communicators, the formal cadence of her speech commanded respect from the assembled colonists. Your abilities with quantum perception could revolutionize our mining operations, observed Dr. Helen Koster, the Kyo colony's chief scientist. The mineral deposits on our moon are embedded in quantum unstable rock formations that our current technology cannot safely extract. Marcus nodded. During our escape, Zara enhanced our ship's sensors beyond their design specifications. The applications for frontier engineering could be revolutionary. The threat arrives. Before the council could vote, alarms began blaring throughout the colony. Through the chamber's viewports, the assembled representatives could see multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace near Haven's orbital perimeter. This is Admiral Harrison of the Coalition Defense Force, came a stern voice over the emergency broadcast system. Haven Colony is ordered to surrender the Luminari refugees immediately. You have 1 hour to comply. Chairman Clark activated the Council's communication system. Admiral, this is Robert Clark, Haven Colony Council Chairman. The refugees are under our protection, and we don't recognize Coalition authority in the Frontier Zone. Frontier Zone or not, Clark, harboring stolen property is a criminal offense. The Luminari were purchased legally and belong to a registered collector. Marcus felt rage building in his chest. Through his growing connection with the Luminari, he could sense their fear and anger at being called property once again. They're sentient beings, not collectibles, Marcus broadcast over the open channel. I bought a cargo container, not slaves. Admiral Harrison's image appeared on the main display, his weathered face showing the arrogance of unquestioned authority. Commander Chen, your military record shows you're an intelligent man. Don't throw away your career and freedom for alien fugitives. The colony's decision chairman Clark stood, his decision reflected in his determined expression. Admiral Harrison, Haven Colony was founded by people who refuse to accept injustice. We won't start compromising our principles now. The other council members voiced their agreement. Dr. Koster activated the colony's defensive systems while Chief Martinez began coordinating civilian evacuation procedures. You have 30 minutes to change your mind, Harrison warned before cutting the transmission. As the colonists prepared for siege, Marcus gathered the Luminari in the council chambers. Their luminescence had dimmed with stress, but their resolve remained strong. You don't have to fight for us, Zara said to the assembled colonists. We can surrender ourselves to prevent bloodshed. Like hell, Chief Martinez replied bluntly. Haven doesn't abandon its own. Preparing the defense. Marcus spent the next 20 minutes working with the colony's defense coordinator to prepare their limited weapon systems. Haven possessed mining lasers that could be converted to weapons, defensive satellites with basic armament, and a small fleet of patrol ships designed for pirate deterrence rather than military engagement. We're outgunned 10-1, the defense coordinator reported grimly. Those are coalition heavy cruisers with full military armament. Then we don't fight them head-on, Marcus replied, his tactical training asserting itself. We make them come to us and use the environment to our advantage. Zara approached with several of her companions. Marcus, there's something we haven't told you about Luminari abilities. Our perception enhancement isn't just passive. We can actively manipulate quantum fields in limited ways. Manipulate how? Disruption, primarily. We can create interference patterns that disable targeting systems and communication arrays, but it requires direct contact with quantum-active materials. Marcus's eyes lit up with possibility. The colony's reactor core uses quantum containment fields. If you could interface with those systems, we could turn Haven Colony into a massive jamming station, Vera completed his thought. Their weapons would be useless if they can't lock onto targets. The battle begins. Admiral Harrison's deadline expired without response from the colony. The coalition ships moved into attack formation, their weapon systems charging for a devastating first strike. All vessels commence bombardment, Harrison ordered. The first volley of plasma bolts and missile salvos raced toward Haven Colony's defensive perimeter. But as the weapons approached, something unexpected happened. The colony's defensive satellites suddenly blazed with luminary luminescence, their hulls glowing with quantum energy patterns that interfered with targeting systems. Missiles went off course, plasma bolts scattered into harmless light shows, and energy weapons lost coherency before reaching their targets. The attack fizzled harmlessly against Haven's suddenly impenetrable defenses. "What the hell was that?" Harrison demanded over the tactical net. "Weapons systems are malfunctioning across the fleet." Marcus smiled grimly from the colony's command center, where Zara and her sisters had integrated themselves with the quantum defense grid. "That's human engineering enhanced by luminary quantum manipulation. Admiral, you're outmatched." The counterstrike. With their defensive systems neutralized, the coalition ships were vulnerable to Haven's converted mining lasers. Marcus coordinated the counterattack, while the Luminary maintained their quantum interference patterns. The patrol ships launched by the colonists used unconventional tactics learned from years of fighting pirates in the frontier zone. They attacked in coordinated swarms, targeting weapon systems and engines, rather than attempting to destroy the larger vessels outright. "Disable, don't destroy," Marcus ordered over the tactical channel. "Those are coalition military personnel following orders, not pirates." The battle was swift and decisive. Without their technological advantages, the coalition ships found themselves overwhelmed by the colonists' guerrilla tactics and the Luminaries' quantum manipulation abilities. Harrison's retreat. Admiral Harrison's flagship limped away from Haven Colony with disabled weapons and damaged engines. His final transmission was filled with bitter defeat. "This isn't over, Chen. The coalition doesn't forget acts of rebellion. And humans don't forget friends," Marcus replied. "Tell your collector, friend, that the Luminari are under Haven's protection now." As the coalition fleet retreated, celebration erupted throughout the colony. The Luminari had found a new home, and Haven had gained allies whose abilities would transform their frontier settlement into something remarkable. New beginnings. In the weeks that followed, Haven Colony underwent dramatic changes. The Luminaries' quantum perception abilities revolutionized mining operations, allowing the extraction of previously inaccessible mineral deposits. Their knowledge of biotechnology helped improve the colony's agricultural systems, while their collective intelligence provided insights that enhanced everything from power distribution to communications networks. Marcus found himself appointed as liaison between the human colonists and their Luminary neighbors. The bond he had formed with Zara deepened into something profound and lasting, while his friendships with her companions enriched his life in ways he had never imagined possible. "You saved us," Zara said one evening as they watched the colony's expansion from the observation deck. New habitat modules were under construction, designed with input from both human engineers and Luminary architects. "We saved each other," Marcus corrected. "Haven needed what you could offer just as much as you needed sanctuary." Zara's luminescence shifted to warm golden tones. "Is this what humans call a happy ending?" Marcus considered the question while watching children from both species playing together in the colony's recreational areas. The Luminary had adapted quickly to their new home, while the human colonists had embraced their alien neighbors with typical frontier pragmatism. "I think it's more like a beginning," he replied. "A chance for both our peoples to build something better than what we had before." The legacy word of Haven Colony's success spread throughout the frontier zone. Other refugee species began seeking sanctuary there, drawn by reports of a community where cooperation transcended biological differences. The colony's reputation for accepting anyone willing to contribute created a diverse population that combined the best traits of multiple civilizations. Marcus often reflected on the moment he had bid one credit on a mysterious container. That simple decision had changed not just his life, but the lives of hundreds of beings who now called Haven home. The Luminary had found a new world to replace their lost one, while the human colonists had gained allies whose abilities pushed the boundaries of what frontier settlements could achieve. The Collector's defeat. Dravek Moore, the Collector who had employed Cordain and bribed Admiral Harrison, eventually abandoned his pursuit of the Luminary. The cost of chasing them had exceeded their potential value, and the publicity surrounding their case had made further attempts politically impossible. Cordain himself had disappeared after losing his ship to quantum distortions, presumably retired to lick his wounds and reconsider the wisdom of hunting humans and their allies. Future prospects. As Marcus stood on the observation deck watching new arrivals dock at Haven's expanded facilities, he felt a deep satisfaction that military service had never provided. Here, he wasn't just following orders or maintaining equipment. He was helping build something meaningful. Zara joined him, her presence as comforting as always. Through their bond, he could sense her contentment and the gratitude of her people for the home they had found among the stars. The other containers, she said quietly. The ones carrying our genetic archives and cultural artifacts. Someday, we'll find them. And when we do, Marcus replied, we'll have a place ready for whatever we discover. The Luminary had taught the colonists that survival wasn't just about enduring hardship. It was about preserving what made life worth living. Hope, dignity, and the connections between beings who chose to stand together against the darkness. The continuing story. Haven Colony continued to grow, its reputation spreading across the galaxy as a place where species could coexist and thrive. The partnership between human determination and Luminary abilities created innovations that attracted attention from scientists and engineers throughout known space. Marcus had found more than salvage in that container. He had discovered a purpose that extended beyond his own survival. The universe was vast and often hostile, but it also contained opportunities for beings to help each other reach for something greater than they could achieve alone. As the stars wheeled overhead and new ships approached with their own stories of hope and desperation, Marcus knew his greatest adventures were still ahead. The container had been just the beginning of a story that would continue as long as there were those willing to extend a helping hand to strangers in need. The last light of the Luminary had not died with their world. It had been reborn among the stars, carried by human hands and alien hearts working together toward a brighter future.